Right now, inside your body, something extremely quiet is happening that most people never think about. It's not loud. It's not dramatic. There is no sudden signal telling you to pay attention. And yet, deep inside your spine, a process begins that determines how flexible, supported, and even how light your body feels when you move. Most people believe their spine is just a stack of bones holding them upright. A simple structure, something fixed, something that slowly gets worse with age. But that belief is incomplete. Because what happens next, inside your spine when you start walking, is not just movement. It's hydration, rebalancing, and a slow reactivation of systems that most people accidentally shut down every single day. And this is where it gets interesting, because your spine doesn't drink water like you do. It hydrates in a completely different way, and walking is one of the strongest signals that tells it to begin. But here's the part most people miss. It doesn't start when you feel movement. It starts the moment pressure begins to shift through your body in rhythm. Inside your spine right now, each disc between your vertebrae is like a small, intelligent cushion. Think of them like tiny water-filled shock absorbers stacked in a vertical system. When you are still for long periods, especially sitting, these cushions slowly lose fluid. Not because something is broken, but because there is no signal demanding circulation. Your body is efficient. It only maintains what it uses. So when you sit for hours, your spine quietly goes into a low-activity mode. Fluid exchange slows. Pressure becomes uneven. Some areas compress more than others, and you don't feel it immediately, but your system is adjusting in real time. Now imagine your spine like a tall building with water tanks between each floor. When people stop moving, the pumps slow down. Water doesn't circulate properly. Certain floors become dry, others overloaded. But the moment you start walking, something changes. Because walking is not just movement, it is rhythmic loading, or repeated up and down compression that acts like a natural pump for your spine. And this is where the first stage begins. In the first few minutes of walking, your feet strike the ground and send a wave of mechanical pressure upward. It travels through your ankles, your knees, your hips, and finally reaches your spinal discs. Inside each disc, cells called chondrocytes respond to this pressure shift. They are not passive. They are sensitive to movement and load. And when they sense rhythmic pressure, they begin pulling in fluid from surrounding tissues. But here's what makes it fascinating. The process is not instant flooding. It is controlled absorption. Think of it like a sponge that has been sitting dry for a long time. The first contact with water doesn't fully saturate it. It slowly begins to expand, fiber by fiber, layer by layer. And this is only the beginning. Because most people stop too early. They walk a few minutes, sit back down, and assume nothing is happening. But this is exactly where the deeper process starts. Now watch this. As you continue walking into the activation phase, your spinal discs begin responding more efficiently. The repeated compression and release acts like a pump cycle. Compress, release. Compress, release. Each cycle helps draw nutrient-rich fluid into the disc structure. This fluid is not just water. It carries oxygen, glucose, and essential nutrients that help maintain disc health and elasticity. But here's the part most people miss. Your spine doesn't just hydrate for comfort. It hydrates for survival efficiency. Because when discs are well hydrated, they act like better shock absorbers. They distribute force evenly. They reduce friction. They protect nerves that pass through the spinal column. And this is where your body starts to shift gears internally. Inside your nervous system, movement signals increase. Blood flow improves around the spinal area. Small stabilizing muscles that were inactive begin to engage without you even thinking about it. Your body is not exercising one muscle at a time. It is reactivating an entire structural system. Now you might think this is just mechanical, but there is something deeper happening too. This is where it gets interesting. Your brain is constantly monitoring your posture and movement through feedback loops. When you walk, Sensory receptors in your joints and spine send continuous updates upward. The brain interprets this as system is active, system is stable. And when the system is stable, the body reduces unnecessary tension. That tight feeling in your lower back that people often blame on age or weakness is sometimes just lack of movement signals. Not damage, not failure, just inactivity. But here's the turning point. As you continue walking, your spine enters a peak activation phase. The repeated compression cycles begin to optimize fluid distribution across multiple discs at once. This is not random. It is organized. Each step becomes part of a full-body coordination pattern. Think of it like a factory restarting after being idle. Machines don't all turn on at once. They restart in sequence. One system supports another. Now your spine begins doing the same thing. Lower discs stabilize first. Then mid-spine alignment improves. Then the upper spinal segments begin adjusting posture subtly, without conscious effort. And during this phase, something very important happens internally. The discs are not just filling with fluid, they are regaining height. Even small changes in hydration can slightly increase disc thickness, which improves spacing between vertebrae. That spacing matters because it affects how evenly your body distributes load every time you move. But here's the part that changes everything. This process is not just physical, it is adaptive. Your body starts learning from the pattern. If walking becomes consistent, the spine doesn't just hydrate temporarily. It begins to maintain a better baseline state of fluid balance. It adapts to the expectation of movement. This is adaptation. Now, after you stop walking, the process doesn't immediately shut off. In the after effect phase, your body continues subtle internal adjustments. Fluid redistribution continues at a slower rate. Nutrients are still being exchanged in spinal tissues. And the discs retain a better hydration state than before the movement began. But there's something even more important happening quietly. Your nervous system begins reinforcing movement efficiency. The next time you walk, the system responds faster, smoother, with less resistance. And over time, this creates internal rewiring. Now here's a deeper layer most people never consider. You are not fighting your body when you move. You are communicating with it. Every step is a message. Every movement is feedback. And your spine is one of the main structures translating that message into internal balance. But most people interrupt this system. Long sitting hours, minimal walking, static posture. These don't damage the body instantly. Instead, they reduce the frequency of the signal your spine depends on to maintain hydration cycles. And when the signal is missing long enough, efficiency drops. Now here's a simple research-backed insight. Studies on spinal disc health consistently show that movement-based loading helps maintain disc hydration and nutrient exchange more effectively than prolonged rest or inactivity. Not because rest is bad, but because discs depend on pressure variation to function optimally. Variation is the key. Not extreme exercise, not intensity, just consistent, rhythmic movement. But here's the tension. If you don't activate this system regularly, the spine gradually becomes less efficient at fluid exchange. Not overnight. Until stiffness becomes normal, and normal movement feels like effort. And the body always adapts to what you repeat. So if stillness is repeated, stillness becomes the baseline. But if walking is repeated, movement becomes the baseline. And this is the transformation most people never realize. Because when walking becomes consistent, your spine doesn't just stay hydrated during activity. It becomes more efficient at maintaining hydration even at rest. That is internal rewiring. Efficiency improves, recovery improves, structural support improves, and something subtle happens to your perception of your own body. It feels more responsive, more stable, less resistant. Now, as we reach the deeper conclusion, zoom out for a moment. Your spine is not a rigid column. It is a dynamic, fluid-dependent system designed for movement. It was never meant to stay still for long periods. Stillness is not its natural state. Movement is. And walking is one of the simplest ways to restore that design. Inside your body right now, even as you listen, systems are waiting for signals. Not commands, signals, repetition, rhythm, movement. Because your body doesn't respond to motivation, it responds to patterns. And walking is one of the most powerful patterns it understands. So the real question is not whether your spine can hydrate itself. It can. The question is whether you give it enough consistent movement to let that process fully activate. Because your body isn't broken. It's responding. And walking is a signal it has been waiting for. What surprised you most about what is happening inside your spine when you walk?